DICE finally came out to talk about Battlefield 2042, which was great, and they had some really cool updates about what's going on with the game and what is coming in the future. But I want to kind of give not only my thoughts, but some of the community thoughts that I've seen, because I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of these changes. If you haven't, I will link the article down below, as well as quickly go over them before I get the main chunk of the video. But anyway, remember, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, tickle that little subscribe button right down below. Also, got to thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's get into the thickness of this video. That was very corny. Let's get started. So just to kind of quickly go over the changes, there are going to be some map changes. Kaleidoscope is going to get some more cover and terrain and everything like that in Season 1. And then the same thing is going to happen with Renewal in Season 2. So kind of like half a new map in each season. There is also supposed to be one full new map coming in Season 1. Not sure about Season 2. But that is cool to hear, because that will make those two maps more fun, more enjoyable, hopefully, to play on. As they'll feel a bit more like actual Battlefield maps. They are also moving away from the 128 players, and I kind of want to phrase this correctly, because it's not like they're getting rid of all the 128 player modes. Conquest 128, they said, definitely plays better than Breakthrough 128, which is why they took Breakthrough 128 out of the game, and 64 player modes are kind of the focus going forward. At least that was what was inferred. They also mentioned this with regards to the new maps that would be coming to the game, because they're going to be a little bit more focused, as Lars said, which I take to mean as actual Battlefield maps with flow and cover and fun involved. You know, tested maps potentially. I don't know. So hopefully we get those, get hands-on, and they're fun by the time we get to Season 1. Hazard Zone is basically getting booted of new content. They're not going to be focusing on it with the new maps. They will not be supported with the new maps. Again, lending to the idea that these are going to be more of your traditional 64-player maps, which I'm very excited about. Honestly, for the three of you that do still play Hazard Zone, I'm sorry. I hope you enjoy the maps that are in the game, because it seems like that's all you're getting for Firestorm 2.0. I mean Hazard Zone. Now, as for core gameplay changes, they did go over a few things here. Specialists are getting a new look and kind of adding to a more grittier atmosphere. They showed McKay and Boris. So McKay kind of has that beard now. He looks a little bit more Chadley. He's got the little thing around his neck. He looks like he's actually on a battlefield. You know, he's got some dirt on his face, some scarring. Same with Boris. Boris looks a little bit younger, like he actually belongs on the battlefield and not in a geriatric home. I don't even know if I'm using that word correctly. He doesn't look like a pile of dough anymore. He looks like an actual soldier. So hopefully all the soldiers get that kind of, or all the specialists get that kind of treatment, look a little bit grittier. They're also changing the voice lines. I know a lot of people wanted. Personally, I wouldn't have minded if they had just nixed voice lines. I really don't care about them. They were annoying, but I could do without them. It could just flip them off, and that would have been enough of a change for me. But if some people like them and want grittier ones, then good for them. I would have been fine if they were silent. They are also refining animations. So, you know, from the third person view, obviously it's a first person shooter, but when you're watching other people run around, there's a little bit more natural animations, which looks good, but it just feels like, I don't know. I'll get a little bit into it once I finish up wrapping up some of the details here. They did say that they're going to be reworking specialists in some way, but are not ready to say in what way. Again, I'll get a little bit more into that here in a minute. There is going to be new content coming in the game with maps, vehicles, weapons, and whatnot. But they did also say that from Portal, they're going to bring some weapons over, rework them to work in all-out warfare, which I think is really cool. I think it makes a lot of sense considering actual conflicts today. You see people still using weapons from World War II, that a weapon from today would probably be used in a conflict in 2042. Just my 2 cents. I would not be shocked if someone in a conflict in the 2040s was using an M4 or an M16 or an XM8 to represent Bad Company 2, and it adds more variety and options right off the bat. I'm not saying that those are the exact ones they said are coming over, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, along with some others I would imagine. I don't know how many or which ones they're bringing over, but those are the 2 or 3 off the top of my head. There's also going to be performance improvements. I feel like this goes without saying. The game barely functions, so fixing that would go a long way for a lot of players. Season 1 is going to start in June. awesome. That's going to be the start of 4 seasons. They didn't seem to commit to anything more than the 4 seasons, so let's have some fun with the 4 seasons that we're getting, because that may be all we're getting before a new Battlefield potentially drops. Now, they did also kind of dress up some stuff that seemed really weird. They're like, we're going to do more weekly missions and more community spotlights, and I'm like, that's more of what you're already doing, so cool. I'm glad you're not stopping those. I don't think that even needed to be mentioned. Anyway, let's get into the community thoughts and my own thoughts and the feedback about what this really is. Let's kind of break it down. So they said a lot while actually revealing not all that much. New maps and map reworks we kind of already figured were coming. A lot of people that have been following this closely would have kind of assumed that, and we kind of already knew that map reworks were happening. Same with the specialist reworks, which they still haven't really talked about. They just kind of showed that they're making them look grittier, which again is a welcome change, but it doesn't exactly do a lot as far as gameplay, even though they stuck it under the gameplay section. Same with the animations. That's cool. I think it'll help everyone look a little bit more natural out there instead of like robots, but it's not really what I'm here for. I do think that they are being a bit too hesitant with the changes they want to make to specialists. I think there's plenty of ways to fit them into a class type of system to where each person can select the specialist that they want to play as in a visual sense without having the gadgets necessarily tied to them, so you can have actual Battlefield classes back. I think that would be the best way to go. I don't know that they're gonna really balance them in a fantastic way any more than what they are already. I don't think it's gonna be the best class system we've ever had, but I think there is a way to do it. I think it would be also cool if they did fit them into class system, if we could play as AI soldiers. Those skins look freaking awesome, and just give people those options so they can experience the Battlefield how they want to, in a visual sense, in a gameplay sense. They can feel like they're playing a particular role, which is what Battlefield is about. Whether it is being the sweaty assault player or being that engineer player that's keeping your buddies afloat in their vehicles. It doesn't matter what the role is. People just want to play a role on the battlefield and have some crazy over-the-top actiony moments. That's what Battlefield is. And this is really where I get to my final point with Battlefield 2042. Now, what I'm trying to get to at the center of all this is, if we get all the changes that we want, Battlefield 2042 won't even be Battlefield 2042 anymore, which can be a good thing depending on who you are. Now, why do I say depending on who you are? Well, clearly DICE had an idea of what they wanted 2042 to be, which is why they didn't consult a single Battlefield player in the lead up to launch, and why it turned out to be the game that it is, and why Courage JD was in that commercial and he probably doesn't even know this game exists anymore. And that's what I'm really worried about, and especially with the way that the specialist changes are coming. They said specialists are not leaving the game, and I figured that they put too many resources into them. But is this game ever going to be an actual Battlefield game? And I think that's the real question that is remaining, at least for me, when it comes to a lot of these changes. Sure, you can change the maps and change balancing and performance and all that. That's awesome. That makes it a pretty decent first-person shooter, but is it a Battlefield game? That is where the specialist changes come into play, and until we hear from those and what those are going to be more specifically, that's why I'm still kind of not so optimistic going forward. It's just, that to me is what is going to make or break this game. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to have time to really see it flourish if they do actually make those changes, because again, I don't know that we're going to get more than 4 seasons, and if specialist feedback isn't even really coming until like season 2, well, we get the changes in season 4 and then content will be gone. So even if it ends up a pretty good game or a pretty solid game by then support will be over, and we'll likely be looking at the next Battlefield game, which is fine. If they listen to us and actually make a Battlefield game, that would be great, and then we can kind of start fresh from there. But with the last 2 releases, it's safe to say that confidence is not exactly at an all-time high. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below what you think of the changes coming with Season 1, and even though they touched a little bit on Season 2, let me know what you think of that as well. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.